You know, it's funny. This time last year in the offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles, we were talking about Nick Sirianni's job status. We were talking about whether he should be on the hot seat or not. Now, he's a Super Bowl champion. Now, he's one of the top coaches in the NFL. Now, he's one that is so good at his job that they're trying to ban plays that he runs because he's so successful. Has there ever been a zero to hero quite as special as Nick Sirianni? And what makes him so special? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the league rule changes, the Tush Push, all things Philadelphia Eagles, all things going on right now. Trending in the AM, we are live in 30 seconds.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 woo!
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live. YouTube and Twitter, you know the drill. Like and subscribe and click that share button wherever you're watching. Please, if you're watching over on the Twitter page, please head over to the YouTube page, which is linked in the description above or in some of the comments down below, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, but most importantly, get your opinions and thoughts out on all things Philadelphia sports. Today, we got some Eagles conversation. We got some more NFL conversation on the end. Obviously, the Sixers, we're getting close to the end. Phillies about to get what would this be, game 5? No, game 5 of the season is today. So we'll talk about that and preview that as well, guys. Again, I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. And, I was sitting here thinking about angles and things to talk about today. And I really started thinking about because, Facebook memories remind me about what these show titles are in the past. And I got to thinking about Nick Sirianni and how he was on the hot seat job-wise last offseason. Hell, even into the season, people wanted him fired. And how he was able to turn that around in 1 year and become a Super Bowl champion coach. In 1 year, being the center of attention at the league meetings. In 1 year, going from literally a zero to a hero, going from the hot seat to champion. And I want to know how he's gotten there and how he's done that. Why do you think he's been able to turn around his, reputation and coaching job in Philadelphia? Obviously, also, we're going to talk about the fact that we all knew the Tush Push wasn't getting banned. But they didn't even vote on the Tush Push because they're tabling those discussions until they find a way to get more votes. And we're going to talk about that because the Competition Committee co-chair, Falcon CEO Rich McKay, literally said what we all knew was happening. They're just a bunch of idiots there in the league office, in the Competition Committee. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about there's 4 or 5 other rule changes that we are going to get into, things that have been getting talked about. Whatever you want to talk about, we're going to get to here. First comment, he was never a zero or a hero. I think he was a zero. I mean, there was a good portion of Philadelphia Eagles Nation that wanted Nick Sirianni fired last offseason, right through week 4. And he is a hero because he led us to a Super Bowl champion, only our second one in the history of our franchise. So he's definitely a hero now to Philadelphia. Yeah, only fire Nick would be a Buffalo fan saying that because he wants him to replace Sean McDermott. Good morning, Duck. How are you? Good morning to Rick. Good morning to TMZ. Good morning to everyone. I've learned to accept his leadership style even though I don't like it. It seems to work for the Eagles. Exactly. It's something that his style isn't necessarily the same as the traditional Super Bowl coach. It's not traditional like the Bill Belichick's of the world or the Andy Reids of the world that have won multiple Super Bowls in their career. It's a different style of coaching, but it seems to work. And it seems to have the players bought in. And is his style a style that more coaches could adapt? Stuck where he leads each player differently to an extent? Because he does lead in multiple different ways throughout a season. Yes, Rick, it was quite April Fool's Day yesterday. I hate April Fools. In the social media age, I absolutely hate April Fools. There were some good ones though. There really were. Tiger Woods got everybody going yesterday with his April Fool's joke. Amalfi Jets, if you're into those idiotic TikToks, they got everybody. Never understood the dislike for Sirianni. Yeah, I mean, I understood it, Rick. I didn't agree with it, but I got it. Because people have this image ingrained in their head of what a coach should be, what a coach should look like in, figuratively speaking, not physically, how he should sound, how he should control his emotions. And Sirianni is not that kind of guy. In Philadelphia, I mean, Rick, we argue about the Phillies all the time. You've got two successful coaches in Nick Sirianni and Rob Thompson. One is a Super Bowl, one doesn't have a World Series, but other than the championship, they're very similar in their success. A lot of regular season wins, a lot of playoff appearances. But they have two totally different personalities, a way of doing it. And while Nick Sirianni's way of doing it has, before the Super Bowl, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, Rob Thompson's way has rubbed me the wrong way. So I get it. I understand it. But results are what really matters. And Nick Sirianni has brought those results to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I kind of find it crazy that, you watch the league meetings going on. And I don't know if you know how the league meetings go on, but you got a big convention room and every coach is at a table and media is circling from table to table to talk to coaches. Nick Sirianni's table, yes, partially because of the Tush Push, is packed with media from not just local media, national media. You got other coaches with one or no media at it. Nick Sirianni and his personality and his success has made him the centerpiece of the NFL coaching-wise. And I think it's kind of crazy how it's gone. I already put that one up there. Sorry. Sirianni just wins, baby. He wins regular season and postseason. The only coach to take the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls and win one. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we can compare it just to another Eagles coach, Doug Peterson, where Doug Peterson won us our first Super Bowl. And he was gone so quickly after that from this organization. There's no scenario where Nick Sirianni is leaving this organization anytime soon because his personality resonates so much differently than Nick Sirianni's did with the team, the fans, the players, the organization. And it's something very interesting to me. Lloyd did one of his few interviews yesterday. I like his even-keeled nature. His only statement is that he wants the team built for continued success. Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Lurie speaks 2-3 times a year. That's something I do like. I mean, I know Jeffrey Lurie is involved with Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni on decision-making, but he does it from the quiet little corner. He's not out there like a Jerry Jones in your face making decisions. So I do like that. I'll be curious to see what the extension for Nick Sirianni looks like from Jeffrey Lurie. Will Jeffrey Lurie make Nick Sirianni the highest paid coach in the NFL? And that'll be coming in the coming weeks or months, probably. I like Sirianni even more because he's not afraid to be different and do things unconventional. It's a boring world if everybody's exactly the same. Yeah, he's not afraid to do things different. I wrote down some notes. He's got conviction. When he wants to do something different, he's got the conviction on it. He's got the confidence in himself. He's got passion. He wears that emotion on his sleeve. He also has a great quarterback, GM, and owner with him that helps have that success, followed through with. So he's got a vision, but he's got the pieces to help that vision come through. but the passion, the confidence, the conviction that he runs his daily operation with. I don't think we've seen a coach wear their emotions on their sleeve like Nick Sirianni and have success. And I think it's very good. He also has that vote of confidence from his bosses. Sirianni should be the highest paid coach. And I'm very curious when that comes. I mean, I can't really Google search and talk at the same time, but Google search it. Who is the highest paid head coach? Like, what are the top 2 or 3 salaries, Rick, for head coaches in the NFL? I'd love to know that right now. Good morning, Bird Gang. How you doing today? Hopefully you're having a great day. And if you want to do me a favor, head on over, find the YouTube page, subscribe and comment on the YouTube page. One of the other tweets on my Twitter page has the link to the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Twitter is great. YouTube's the money. So please, I greatly appreciate that. But yeah, I just want to get your opinion also, Bird Gang, about Nick Sirianni going from 0 to hero, going from hot seat to Super Bowl champion. And why has that happened? And why has it happened so fast? Or was it not a fast thing? Was the fire Nick Sirianni train last offseason bogus? I mean, I thought it was bogus. I was for keeping him last offseason. I was for keeping him after week 4 loss to the Buccaneers. But a lot of people weren't. Is Nick Sirianni more similar to Rob Thompson, at least, like Rick likes to say, the same trajectory of the teams? And, we're just, where I overreact to Rob Thompson, the other fans overreacted to Nick Sirianni. Because, again, Nick Sirianni had a lot of success here. Been here 2021, first year, made the playoffs. 2022, went to a Super Bowl. 2023, failure at the end, but still made the playoffs. Sean Payton is number 1 head paid coach, $18 million per year. Wow. When was Sean Payton last a good head coach? You got to think if Sean Payton, with his track record of not being that great the last however many years, making $18 million per year, you'd have to think that Nick Sirianni could get at least that, right? You'd have to think that Sean Payton is got to be then the baseline. Does Nick Sirianni get a 3-year, $18 million per year extension? People, I debate between whether 3, 4, or 5-year extension will happen at this point. Would Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, after the collapse with the first Super Bowl coach in Doug Peterson, give him a 5-year deal? Will they stick to 3? I don't know. I think it'll be 3. It should be 5 in my opinion. But it's got to be $18 million a year if that's what Sean Payton's making, right? It's got to be at least close to that. Definitely was fast. I believe he used all the negativity to light a fire under him and take different chances on his approach to coaching. I think it's a great point. I think it's a very great point that he did. A lot of coaches and a lot of athletes, they try to pretend that I don't know what's going on with me. I don't listen to what they say. I'm not paying attention to social media. When they do. It's impossible to go about your daily business in life without knowing what people are saying about you. Nick Sirianni used that for fuel on his fire. He used that bulletin board material. He heard the people pounding the table for his job. And he used that to tweak what he was doing. He wasn't afraid, to tweak what he was doing. When you think about it, when he got here in 2021, he was calling the plays. He was the guy that he had to first adjust. I don't want to call the plays. I'm going to give it to somebody else. He had to accept last offseason that CEO role. And he was willing to do that because he had the conviction and the confidence in who he was as a manager, as a coach, as a leader of men. To take that, some people call it a demotion. I call it a different management role. And he used that to light a fire and to focus on what he does well, his strengths, and become even better. What's up, Mr. Steven Fuentes? Good morning to you. Sirianni needs to get a raise. Roger Goodell tried to spin the tush push ain't safe. Look, look, let's get into the tush push real quick. They did not vote. They voted on all the rule changes. Well, almost all of them yesterday. Some passed, some didn't. but they chose not to vote to ban the Tush Push because they didn't have enough votes. So they tabled the discussions to the May meetings, which is hilarious. But Rich McKay, Falcon CEO, Competition Committee co-chair, said, and I quote, "It's not about health and safety. It's about the play, the aesthetics of the play." Basically, one of the owners of the NFL football teams that's against the Tush Push admitted what I said yesterday. The Tush Push doesn't look good on TV. The TV money controls the NFL. Gamblers, the gambling sites do. The Tush Push is like easy money for Jalen Hurts touchdowns. Hanging out all the time on that. Basically, the people that control the NFL are telling the owners to get rid of the play. It's not about health and safety. It's about that. If it was about health and safety, they wouldn't be changing the kickoff rule to encourage more kickoffs return by returners. Funny, the Eagles added, Avery Williams, who's a very solid kick returner, who could actually help with that rule change. That might be Howie Roseman next level thinking right there. It's pathetic. You choose not to vote on a rule change because you don't have enough votes to ban a play. But here is Nick Sirianni front and center at these league meetings because of this and everything else. He did get Denver in the playoffs last year with a young quarterback. That's fair. He did really actually have a pretty solid season with Bo Nix this year. And their career the trajectory of that team might be changing. They're never going to win I don't know if he's going to win another Super Bowl or anything like that, but he is turning the corner. But the last couple of years there in Denver haven't been good. His last years with the Saints weren't good. And when the going got tough with the Saints, what did he do? He quit on that franchise. I don't think he should be the highest paid, but what he did with Knicks last year was pretty impressive. When I first read that, I thought you were talking about Sirianni should be the highest paid. That's fair. That's fair. I almost misread that there. I would love to see the stats where people tune out when the Tush Push occurs. Yeah. But see, actually, I get it, Big Al. The NFL isn't geared or produced or built for the diehard fans like us. Because no matter what the NFL does, we are going to watch football. The TV audience, they're trying to capture the casual fans. The diehard fans' girlfriends or boyfriends. The diehard fans' kids. They're trying to gain the attention of people with short attention spans or casuals. A little push forward, that's 3-4 minutes of dead time on TV. They're getting sidetracked by their reels during the Tush Push. They're not paying attention to the TV or the advertising dollars. So I get it. They don't care about me and you. They don't care about Johnny Football. They care about the casuals. And to the casuals, the Tush Push isn't good. Legalized gambling, bad for sports. It's a double-edged sword, Rick, and we started this conversation yesterday. We did. It's a double-edged sword. It is bad for sports. It is. But it's also good that it's legalized, and we don't have to go find our illegal bookie down on the street corner. It's something that was happening whether it was legal or not, so you might as well legalize it to make it safer so nobody's kneecaps are getting broken, make it safer, and tax it. But I get it. Was everyone surprised to learn that Goodell is the main person pushing for them to ban? No. He's paid by the owners who are paid by the TV contracts. Plain and simple. Tabling it so they can get the votes. And I'm thinking about early seasons of House of Cards where Kevin Spacey's character is trying to get bills passed through Congress and he's going around making back office deals to get people to vote one way or another. It's basically what's going on with the NFL. I think I read there were 16 no's that we were expected to come out. So they were only half the teams were for or against it. It was pretty close to even. They need 8 or they need 24 to change a rule. And there were rule changes, yes. We're going to get into them in a minute. But I love the fact that throughout this whole thing, everybody's around Nick Sirianni for this. And Nick Sirianni's given some gem of quotes. I love how Nick Sirianni's out there saying, yo, I got you guys head coaching jobs. Kellen Moore, Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, you better vote my way. And I love that. See, the stupid change proposed, the Tush Push, where you could start pushing immediately. That won't stop the team, because if you analyze the play, you will see it's about the O-line and the quarterback. Absolutely. Look, we went over it yesterday. The Eagles still are successful at quarterback sneaks, too. Because they prioritize the offensive line for so long. Running back and tight end are only there to secure being able to push the quarterback off the pile. Yeah, I really think that the running back and the tight end really don't have much actual effect on the play, really. NFL entertainment entity, not sports entity. Honestly, Rick, I mean, why do you think there's people that actually truly believe that it's completely rigged and that the NFL script writers exist? Because it's entertainment. Nick should be the highest paid coach, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, and a historically good winning percentage. Absolutely agree. I just think it's crazy that we've gone from last offseason having multiple shows discussing should he be the head coach of this team or not, to him leading us to a Super Bowl victory, and now he could be the highest paid coach in the NFL. That is a huge, just imagine that, Anthony, that you're on the cusp of losing your job. And in 1 year, you go from the cusp of losing your job to being the highest paid at that job in the country. That's a crazy, crazy career turnaround. I won't be surprised if Birds create an alternate to the Tush Push this year. Will also be, look, all I want, and I've said it before, and I say it again, and I think now even more so, because it's a rugby play, it's not a football play. That if they want rugby plays, we're going to give them a rugby play. Jordan Mailata in the backfield with Jordan Davis as his fullback. You want a rugby play? Let's go that way. Let's go Jordan Davis, Ben Van Sumeren blocking for Jordan Mailata. Let's see what the league thinks of that, Bird Gang. I'm sure they're not going to be too fond of that play. They'll be begging for the Tush Push again. They're also trying to sell eliminating the Tush Push as being not looking like football. It is the most football play ever. Harkens back to the first football games pre-4. Absolutely. 100%, Duck. 100%. We will sweep the Dodgers. When do we even play the Dodgers first? I'm not even sure. Can you imagine the first time you saw a forward pass? That's great. I mean, you might be old enough for that, Duck. And I'm old, but I'm not that old, just so you know. I miss the rush of having to place bets with a bookie. I stopped betting when my bookie threatened to beat the crap out of me for his mistake, not mine. But yeah, legalized gambling is causing games to be changed or swayed. Legalized gambling is changing the way leagues are run. It's so much to that. What's up, Ref the District? What's going on, my guy? And I'm so glad you say this. We are absolutely against banning the Tush Push. So even Washington Commanders fans are against banning it. Because you can't change the rules just because you mastered something. It's kind of comical. But Ref, the District, I don't know if it's Stoner or not, who's I'm assuming Stoner, running the account today. When Rich McKay came out and said yesterday at the podium, he looked like a complete and total dope saying it. It's not about health and safety. It's about the play and the aesthetics of the play. Admitting they're only trying to change it because it doesn't look cool. When in reality, it looks awesome. Already put that up there. Then get a sponsor for the Tush Push. Yeah, exactly. Start making Jalen Hurts' butt have an advertisement across the back of it. I'm just thinking of Oops, I Crapped My Pants, the diapers from Saturday Night Live. Get that advertisement on the back of it. If it wasn't the Tush Push, they put 55 on Washington. Ooh, sorry, Stoner. That was Saquon Hurts, A.J. Dowse. I mean, Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl MVP with that dime he threw to Devontae Smith, just so we know. They're trying to sell player injury also, not that. They've actually backed off the player safety thing because they know by changing the kickoff rules to encourage more kickoffs to be returned, you're increasing the amount of potential injuries. So they know. We all know they don't give one rat's ass about player safety, the league. It's all about money. All about money. Have Mailata take the snap from under center. Yeah, there you go. We don't even need to hand the ball off to Mailata. Just make him quarterback sneak it. How about that? You put Davis and Mailata, you want to see injuries. That went, yeah, exactly. Can you imagine being a defensive lineman or a linebacker? No offense to the Commanders. Can you imagine being Frankie Louvu and trying to stop a quarterback sneak or a tush push with Jordan Mailata or Jordan Davis there? You're like, all right, you know what? Go ahead. Just give them the first down. Player safety has nothing to do with it. All these poverty teams that have lost the Eagles seem to be petty and desperate. It's going to get banned, no doubt. But it's going to get banned at some point. Exactly. Whether it's before this, whether it's in the May meetings or next offseason, at some point it will get banned. It is. But it's for the wrong reasons. 100%. It's not a rugby play because in rugby you can't have blockers in rugby. I know no rules about rugby, so that's all that. It's like when a quarterback spikes the ball to stop the clock. That originally was intentional grounding, but they changed the rule to help the games go longer. NFL is total hypocrisy. Yeah. Can you imagine tush push with juicy test? No, I can't. I'm going to write that down. I don't know if I can make that today, but I am going to try on. I'm going to try to make a graphic for that. I'm going to work on that. We'll see. We'll see. Remember when NBA teams loaded up on big men to hack a Shaq O'Neal? He was unstoppable in the paint. But I don't remember other NBA teams throwing a hissy fit about it. Yeah, learn to stop it. Plain and simple. What are the thoughts of the Eagles fans about enforcing the offensive neutral zone infraction? I'm fine with it. See, the thing is, there's a lot of offensive and defensive neutral zone infractions happening on the play. And some of it is, I will not deny it. Sometimes the Eagles are lined up in the neutral zone on that play. But also, the refs have called it when they haven't been. It's very hard to tell whose hands are where for the refs along the line. So that goes into some of these, expanding replay and using the technology available to it. I haven't read all the verbiage of the replay rule changes, but using replay and using technology to stop this because Rep the District, they missed a couple. They also got some wrong, both offensively and defensively on the play. And I get it. It's very hard to see down that line. It's very hard to see it. And very hard to see whose hand is offsides or not on that play. But they do need to try to enforce it better. You do that with the detailed cameras that you have. There's ways to enforce that. But you know what's interesting? The teams that are most against or on the Eagles' side, the teams that are most on the Eagles' side are successful teams. The Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans. The only really good team that's against it or that wants it banned is the Green Bay Packers because we beat them twice using the play. But honestly, and Jalen Hurts' arm beat them in week 1 in Brazil. This is a sports reporter for the New York Post. His name is Ted Nguyen. Have you seen his articles? What? Oh, there is. Okay, gotcha. Can we ban something more important? April Fool's Day is the worst. I'm so over April Fool's Day. With the way social media is now, I just hate it. I hate it. Any good? No. It's going to be the fridge. I've wanted to see a William Refrigerator Perry type run from Mailata or Jordan Davis so bad. Commanders brass have declined comment on the tush push, but have said in the past it's their job to stop it, not whine about it. Yeah. That's what you do. Stop it. Learn how to stop it. And this goes to my football thing. If you don't watch every day, you might not know, Stoner. I was against banning the shift in baseball because certain offensive players couldn't figure out how to beat the shift. So let's just change the rule. You can't shift anymore on defense. You can't change the rules in sports every time one team masters something. What's next? Seriously. Make sure you're not a Giants fan. Yeah, exactly. Juicy Culture needs to partner with Hurts for that. I don't know what Juicy. I don't even know what that is. Couture. I don't even know. But we're gonna make a graphic about that. They have cameras that can tell if you have a first down, but nobody's somebody's hands. Exactly. I believe so wholeheartedly that we need to take advantage of the technology available in sports for foul calls, for balls and strikes, for penalties, for everything. It's so easy to use technology. And it will make sports better if we use it in the right way. But we only use it to what gives the owners and the leagues the advantage. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well. Hope you are good. Thank you very much, Donor. You have a great day if you're out of here. Can't wait till the season. And we do battle with the Commanders again on a multi-time basis here. Hopefully we have 3 games against the Commanders again next year. Other rules changed in the NFL. The overtime rules slightly changed. Both teams are guaranteed 1 possession. They didn't get it pushed to 15 minutes. It's staying at 10 minutes. The kickoff rule change that I said was now touchbacks are going to be moved up to the 35-yard line instead of the 30, which is basically telling teams we don't want a bunch of touchbacks. We want returns, which is crazy because player safety, they did everything they can to eliminate kick returns. For how long? Now that kick return injuries are down because there's less of them, we're going to change the rules to bring more kickoffs back into the game. That just tells me player safety doesn't matter to them. So that's it. Fun rule change. Tampering. We spent a couple weeks ago talking about that illegal tampering period. So before, in the legal tampering period of the NFL offseason, teams could contact agents, but not players. There's a new rule that during the 2-day tampering period, each team is allowed to have 1 video or phone call conversation with up to 5 free agents. It's interesting. It's cool. Now you can talk to the people a little bit. So that's a new rule that's been changed as well. What's up, Peanut? And everybody, please click on Peanut's YouTube page, link down below, or just click on the profile picture. Subscribe. They should have changed the defensive rules, allowing linebackers to push D linemen. They wasted their time. Instead of trying to ban it, they should have changed the defensive rules, allowing linebackers to push the D linemen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's ways. There's ways, Peanut. What about Toledo? Yeah, can't eliminate Toledo and cue ball. You should watch some rugby games, Phil. It's actually very entertaining, but America sucks at it. The rules are very similar to football, and the NFL should adopt more rules from rugby. Yeah, I'm sure there's some enjoyment in watching rugby. Maybe I should get into it. I'm actually shocked I didn't get into it a little bit. You know, watching so much international sports during my traveling days. But I'm sure it's a good sport. I love the fact that those guys are out there running into each other with no pads on, barely any head protection. Mister, are there as many bad injuries in rugby as there are in football? Or do they just play the game right and they just don't get hurt doing it? Because it looks like such a violent sport, rugby. You know, football is like a very macho, tough sport. A lot of hitting, big hits. We want blood and guts with football. Well, rugby seems to be a sport just like that, which would make me think that why aren't we more into rugby than we are in this country? They will never be able to come up with the language or data to ban the glorified quarterback sneak, not without sounding like a smacked ass. Well, they've already admitted it, that their reasoning is because of aesthetics, nooms. And that leads me back to yesterday's conversation that this league is run by the TV execs. The people spending billions of dollars, putting billions of dollars in owners' pockets. And like I said earlier, the goal is to keep the casual fan hooked for as long as possible so they can see the commercials, so they can see the gambling commercials. The goal is to make sure bookies, i.e. DraftKings and FanDuel, make money, not lose money. The tush push on the goal line. It's a guaranteed Jalen Hurts touchdown. Bookies are losing money on it. Bookies aren't happy. They talk to the people that they're paying. NBC, ESPN, Fox. Get this play banned. They go to the owners and say, yo, we're giving you billions of dollars. Get this play banned. That's what it all is about. It's not about player safety. It's not about anything. It's about TV. And The fact that they tabled the discussion simply tells me that they are going to do everything they can. They're going to make some back alley deals. They're going to do some backroom conversations. Hey, I'll give you this if you do that. I keep thinking about House of Cards. I don't know why that's the one I'm choosing politically, show-wise. There's plenty of politics show with lots of wheeling and dealing behind the scenes. But I just think of Kevin Spacey's character going to each individual congressman, hey, I'll help you with this if you vote this way. Speaking of actors, speaking of TV shows, leads me to movies. I don't know if you guys heard the breaking news this morning. Legendary Hollywood actor Val Kilmer lost his battle with throat cancer and passed away last night. I'm a huge Val Kilmer fan. Actually love Val Kilmer's Batman. Obviously, Heat, great movie. Tombstone, I'll be your Huckleberry. A lot of great quotes from him in that movie. I know everybody loves him in Top Gun, but I loved his work as Jim Morrison in The Doors as well. That was such a good movie, such a fun movie on such a great, underappreciated band. So, unfortunately. So, thoughts out to Val Kilmer's family and friends. Hollywood lost a legend there. The Aussie Football League is awesome. Are we talking Aussie American Football League, Aussie Rugby Football League, Aussie Football Soccer League? Like, which league are we talking about here? I don't know. Did you know that he auditioned for the role of Obi-Wan in the prequels? Okay. I thought you were going to say Obi-Wan. I was like, I couldn't have been in the originals. No, I did not know that, Anthony. Did not know that he appeared, or auditioned for that. I do like. There's a site on Twitter. It's something about movies. What's it called? About the movies, and they do a lot of video clips of other actors' screen tests for certain parts. And I just watched one the other day of every actor that screen tested for Princess Leia, and another one for everybody that screen tested for Indiana Jones, and they were hilariously awesome. I also saw Josh Brolin's screen test online when he tried to audition for James Bond. Before Roger Moore came back for his last one, Roger Moore was trying to leave, and Josh Brolin was in the lead for it. It was awful, honestly. But anyway, did not know that. My favorite Val Kilmer role is the Posh in Entourage. I forgot he was there. I forgot about that. Movie rec, Last Breath with Woody Harrelson. Haven't seen that good of a movie since. Highly recommend it. All right. I haven't even heard of it. In rugby, they don't have as big of athletes because it's a sport that requires endurance and speed. They tackle properly, not many bad injuries. They probably teach the fundamentals better. And that's the problem. The injuries, the bad tackling, the bad technique starts at younger levels. And nowadays, we don't practice technique to the youth playing sports. The word huckleberry come from people saying they would be their huck bearer, meaning they would carry their casket. Interesting. I love that. I saw that Bond screen test. It was James Brolin, but now that you mention it, both James and Josh would have been good. I'm sorry, James. I saw. Yeah, sorry, wrong name. It was a god awful screen test. Let me tell you, it was so bad, so bad. But Freddie, if you follow the same site I am that posts all those things, you know they do some great content on that channel, and I love it. When I saw the Princess Leia screen test, and they showed all of them, and then they showed Carrie Fisher's, you knew exactly why they chose Carrie Fisher and not all the other actresses that they chose for Princess Leia. Sometimes I think maybe they got it wrong, but sometimes they definitely get it right, and that was one of them. But anyway, yes, Val Kilmer passed away. What do you guys feel about Val Kilmer's Batman? I think Val Kilmer's Batman was an excellent Batman movie. I know it's not ranked up there with the Dark Knights or even some of the current incarnation, the Patterson, and obviously Michael Keaton is the GOAT for the original. Obviously, George Clooney is the worst. But I think you can't compare Val Kilmer's Batman to all the others. I think it's got to be graded on its own. Since he only got one, it wasn't as great as the original. He was replacing a great. It wasn't as great as the last incarnation, but it still was really good. It wasn't as bad as George Clooney, but it was still good in its own way. Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones. It's great. These Tuesday and Friday off days in baseball is great. I know. Opening series are always like this, Nooms. It's because of the potential for rainouts. It's because of the potential for delays in the season. They don't want too many doubleheaders too early in the season. So they always put a rainout date, a makeup date for the home openers, because home openers are such big fanfares and big deals. It sucks, but it is what it is. Best screen test for a guy who didn't get the part was Robert De Niro when he read for Sonny Corleone. Well, they got that right then. They got that right. Val Kilmer's use of weapons in Heat was the most accurate. Yeah, I read about that this morning. I haven't seen Heat again in a long time. I got to go back maybe in his honor and watch it. Maybe I'll watch it tonight after work. But it's a great movie. It's a great movie. And his part in it gets overlooked often because of how great the other actors performed in it. But it's a phenomenal movie, for sure. Val Kilmer in Top Secret was seriously slapstick. Top Secret? I know Top Secret, but I'm forgetting now. I was going to say, if you want to see Val Kilmer in his glory as a villain, watch him as, wasn't he the villain in MacGruber? MacGruber. Yeah, the movie from a Saturday Night skit that nobody wanted. But anyway, back to the conversation at hand. Give me more of your Val Kilmer thoughts. Val Kilmer playing Elvis in True Romance. Yep. So continue with your thoughts on Val Kilmer. That's fine. The main thing we're talking about is obviously the Tush Push and Nick Sirianni. And I want to get more thoughts from people on why Nick Sirianni is such a successful head coach in the NFL. Why he's been able to go from hot seat to Super Bowl champion. From, as the thumbnail of the show says, 0 to hero. What's his characteristic trait that you get most endeared to? For me, it's the passion and the emotion he wears on his sleeve. I also love his confidence and conviction. I really do. Top Secret is before Top Gun. MacGruber is a cult classic, especially the celery and the butt scene. I love it. It made doing Upper Deckers a common thing. I remember, back when MacGruber first came out, I remember it because, I was still big into wrestling at the time, and all these wrestlers were supposed to be in it. Chris Jericho, the Great Khali, Mark Henry, the Big Show. All these guys were supposed to be in it. And spoiler alert, they're in it, but for like 2 minutes. And I remember watching it for the first time, like, I want to see all these wrestlers in an action movie. And they're all gone quickly. Anyway, don't want to give any spoiler alerts. Guys, please, there's 15 people on YouTube, 45 on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, please head over to the STT Sports Network YouTube page, linked in my bio. Greatly appreciate you hitting the subscribe button there. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube right now, 15, 16 of you, please hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already. There should be at least 16 likes on this video. We start the show at 482 subscribers, gaining one new subscriber every day. So please like, subscribe, and it's free. You just click share. Doesn't cost you a thing. Val Kilmer in Heat was great. Good morning, Eagles fan. We're talking Nick Sirianni. We're talking Tush Push. And we're talking Val Kilmer, who lost his battle with throat cancer last night. Nick's rise to glory comes from Howie surrounding him with great players. He said it himself, Howie is Cobra Commander, and Nick is Destro. Look, I like that. But I did say early in the show that part of Nick Sirianni's success is he's got a great coach, or a great quarterback. Part of Nick Sirianni's success is he's got a great GM that he works with. Now, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman also work very well together. He's also got an owner that allows these guys to try things and fix their mistakes if they don't work out. There's a lot of things that go in to Nick Sirianni being a great head coach. And I love that you got to give credit to the players and Howie Roseman. Just like Howie Roseman's success comes from Nick Sirianni and the players. Just like the players' success comes from Nick Sirianni putting the right pieces together. Or Howie Roseman putting the pieces together, Nick Sirianni knowing how to coach them. You know, coaching a football team is tough. It's the biggest roster in sports. Count practice squatters, what's there, 70 guys on a roster? That's 70 different personalities that you have to manage. You know, baseball, there's 26. It's still a lot, but it's really 13 and 13, the bullpen and the offense. You manage each differently. Basketball, there's 14, 15 guys. There's 70 guys on a football team, and you've got to manage 70 different egos. Bring them all together as a cohesive unit. There's more teamwork in football than any other sport. Closely basketball. Keeping that group of personalities together is a very important trait. The Satan was very underrated. Absolutely. Doesn't rank in my top 4. It would probably be 5 or 6 on my list. Tombstone number 1, for sure for me. Heat number 2, Batman number 3, and The Doors number 4. They're my top 4 Val Kilmers. Did not expect to hear, test show this one. Yeah, exactly. You never know what you're going to hear on Trending in the AM. That's why you got to like and subscribe and share. Because we talk it all here. We talk it all. Agreed, The Satan was a good popcorn movie. Absolutely. Meanwhile, Nick Sirianni is a combined 8-0 versus McVay, Dan Campbell, and Matt LaFleur, and just dominated Andy Reid's Chiefs. Show me one head coach that wins big time that doesn't have a plethora of great talent. Yeah, exactly. Like, look, we're not holding the talent against him, Rick. Not at all. If anything, I think the plethora of talent that he has makes his job harder because you've got to be able to manage the better the talent, the bigger the ego. Someone like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, they butt heads a little bit. But Nick Sirianni's able to control that. Jalen Carter, huge ego, talent. You got to control that. And I think he does that very, very well. And I think that is an underrated, a very underrated trait of his. That he can manage those egos. That he can manage those personalities. Peanut always drops the knowledge, especially on his YouTube page, Duck. Doug, if you like history, you should be subscribed to Pixelated History's YouTube page. His son and him do some great history with a little bit of comedy mixed in. His son's an awesome person and deserves every subscriber. So, please, guys, subscribe to the Pixelated History YouTube page from clicking on his profile picture or clicking the link in the description, guys. Sirianni, highest winning percentage of any active head coach. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. He's not 3-0. It's not like he just started his first year. We're talking 4 years of continued success. The best team to coach is one that runs itself. I don't think the Eagles run itself. I think the Eagles need Nick Sirianni to manage them, to hold them accountable, to keep them together, keep the egos in check. I think what Nick Sirianni does here is underappreciated to an extent. To an extent. Nick manages a lot of personality. Doesn't get enough credit. Absolutely, that's what I mean. Just think about it. Maybe if Nick Sirianni was the coach of Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb, we wouldn't have got videos of him doing sit-ups in a driveway. Andy Reid wasn't capable of managing those two egos. Maybe he would be now, Andy Reid, but back then he wasn't prepared for that. Nick Sirianni is. This year, you had the Brandon Graham drama from what his comments were during that radio show interview that didn't fracture the team. Yeah, there were some problems last year, but they got rectified very quickly. And they didn't rear their ugly head this year. We getting old. We keep losing our 80s action movie stars, Kilmer, Connery, Weathers. At least we still have Mr. T. We still got Mr. T. It was just his birthday the other day, a week or two ago. I've been trying to get my son into G.I. Joe lately, trying to get him ready for Transformers. They're doing a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Strike me as somebody that did not know that, and strike me as somebody that doesn't need that. The original Transformers movie was great. They didn't need a whole series of them. They weren't that great. They all disappointed after the first, in my opinion. G.I. Joe, never really got into the movies. Never thought they were that great. But, yeah. No team in NFL runs itself and succeeds. And succeeds is the key. Without as many vets around, you're going to see if your assertions are correct. There weren't that many vets on the team last year. Let's be honest. What vets did we lose? Darius Slay, Brandon Graham. Really, that's it. We've already replaced them. We already had their replacements. We'll see. There were several comic book crossovers where there wasn't a big I was a big Transformers and G.I. Joe cartoon fan. Never got into their comic books. The G.I. Joe cartoon when I was a kid was one of my favorites. The Transformers cartoons, that little VHS tape that they put out, Hasbro. It was basically a big giant walking advertisement. I watched that VHS so many times that I wore it out. I watched it so many times. Yo, Joe, knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I would say Transformers, G.I. Joe, mainly the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They were my favorites when I was a kid. Without a doubt, they were my favorites. Sirianni is lucky he has a quarterback that just wins. Does Belichick make the Hall of Fame without Brady? That's a tough question, mister. I think Brady's success is related to how great Belichick is. I think Belichick's success is related to how well Brady was. Same thing can go with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Same thing with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Behind every great coach is a great quarterback. Behind every great how many great quarterbacks won Super Bowls without a really good head coach? So I think I'd go both ways there. And I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to say whether Belichick or Brady would win without the other. And I think they both needed each other. Perfect storm scenario there. Don't forget GoBots. Great show. Yeah, it was good. I remember it. I was a Thundercats fan. I really liked the Thundercats when I was a kid. And He-Man, too. I was a huge He-Man. All the power. Yeah. Anyway, anyone shining the light on individuals too much doesn't get team dynamics. I agree. I think it is a team that wins. Yes, Jalen, you need a great quarterback to win. But you need a great team to win. For sure. Belichick was a huge failure without Brady. And Andy Reid was a failure without in Philadelphia. Lots of coaches failed in their first time. Pete Carroll failed before he went to Seattle, where he got his title. I don't think you could say that Brady would have won for sure without Belichick. And that Belichick wouldn't have found success without Brady. I don't. Brady won with Bruce. Brady did win with Bruce Arians. He did. He did go elsewhere and win. Brady is the greatest of all time. No doubt about it. But to say that Belichick wasn't great because of Brady, I think devalues what Bill Belichick was. I wouldn't say huge failure. He was just very average. He just didn't find Super Bowl success. Eli isn't a great quarterback, but that New Jersey Giants team won quite a bit. That's true. So there's one scenario with a bad quarterback winning. Tom Coughlin was maybe an underrated coach, too, to an extent. But goes to show a great team can win there. I respect Bill Belichick. I think the coaching legacy of Bill Belichick. I don't want to take away anything that he did just because of Brady. And I wouldn't take anything away Brady did just because of Belichick. Brady won a Super Bowl without Belichick. Bill never even won a playoff game without Brady. Look, I get that. And I get that sentiment, Anthony. But again, also, by the time Brady left, Bill Belichick, in my opinion, was already a washed coach. The game had already passed him by, in my opinion. There's a reason why no NFL teams wanted Bill Belichick after. Because he's older, stubborn, not willing to adapt. Bill Belichick today would not. You could give Bill Belichick Jalen Hurts and he would find a way to screw it up. You could give Bill Belichick Patrick Mahomes right now. He'd find a way to screw it up because his style just doesn't work anymore. Tom Brady is the GOAT, the greatest quarterback to ever play. Bill Belichick is a great head coach, one of the greatest of all time, not the greatest of all time. There's a difference. Eli was not a bad quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback. A good quarterback, yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Sirianni and Rob Thompson running on parallel paths. You got to always bring the Phillies back into it, Rick. You always got, when I'm trying to be positive, you always got to bring the Phillies. The thing is, they're parallels. But Rob Thompson is a completely different manager than Nick Sirianni. They do things completely different. And I don't know if Rob Thompson's way can get them over the hump. Maybe it can. Hopefully it can. But where Nick Sirianni wears his emotions on his sleeve, he balances things differently. Rob Thompson is that, cool, yeah. I had words written down on this. Hold on. I had specific words. Where Nick Sirianni is competitive and in your face, Rob Thompson is laid back and chill. I don't know if laid back and chill can win you a World Series. Nick Foles won with Doug, too. It's true. Good morning, Dante. Hope you are well. Since they didn't get the votes to ban the Tush Push and tabled it, will they vote again? Yes, they are going to try to vote in May, Dante. They table it. The next league meetings are in May, a couple months, couple weeks after the draft. And they tabled it so they could spend the next month and a half trying to make backroom deals to get people to vote against it. And yes, like I said before, Rick McKay, Falcon CEO, Competition Committee co-chair, basically admitted it's because the aesthetics of the play aren't pleasing to the eye, has nothing to do with player safety. And we all knew that. Different is okay sometimes. I hope I'm wrong, Rick. I hope I'm wrong. Sixers getting the top pick conspiracy theory seems to have gained steam lately. Not quite sure where it comes from. Like the Sixers actually, they're almost 2 games up on the 5 seed now, so they're locked into the top 5 now. Well, ping pong ball wise, they have a chance to get in the 4th worst record. They're only a game and a half behind the New Orleans Pelicans for the 4th worst record in the NBA. The closer they get to that top, they can't get top 3 worst record, but they could get to 4. More ping pong balls help. So we'll see. I didn't watch the Sixers really much. I flipped through it during commercials last night. They actually ran Kyle Lowry out there last night. First game since February 6th. Seriously? They're talking about Tyrese Maxey's going to practice today to maybe roll out there one of the last games. Like, what in the holy hell are the Sixers doing? Do they have any clue? People thought Sirianni couldn't get them over the hump. I always thought he could. Remember, people were calling for Sirianni. That's the point of this show. I never called for Nick Sirianni to be fired. I've called for Rob Thompson to be fired. So hopefully, just like everybody was wrong about Nick Sirianni outside of me, I hope I'm wrong about Rob Thompson. I think in this day and age, Rob Thompson's personality needs to be different. I think people feel like the league owes the Sixers since the league sabotaged. Maybe. Or they still hate us. And they're going to give us the 7th pick, a.k.a. take our pick away from us. Football is the ultimate team game, and you need great players at every position. But a bad quarterback is demoralizing to a team. Everyone playing their best, and the idiot quarterback keeps effing it up. That's true. I agree with that statement a lot, mister. A lot. Absolutely will not allow the Sixers to get the top pick. Absolutely not. Absolutely. No about a doubt that, Rick. I don't believe that one bit. Thompson, Sirianni, just win, baby. Well, one wins championships. One wins just regular season games. See, it's easy to say that. Eagle management understands what bad infrastructure looks like because they made the mistakes before, self-scout, and pivot from mistakes well. There's no single hero. Nooms. This is exactly how I want every one of my organizations to be run. That's why we always joke. Can Howie Roseman go run the Sixers or the Phillies? Can Jeffrey Lurie buy the Sixers from Josh Harris? That's why we make those jokes all the time, Nooms. Because the Eagles understand it. The Eagles are the only organization, Philly, that aren't afraid to admit their mistakes. They admit their mistakes. They move on from their mistakes. I always use the Carson Wentz mistake as my biggest selling point. They made a huge mistake in giving Carson Wentz a huge contract. What they do, They paid him $60 million to go away. They ate that dead money. They ate it. They still found a way to make the playoffs. That is how you win. Admitting your mistakes and failures and figuring out a solution to them. That's not just for a sports team. That's life. Thompson sure has turned this Phillies franchise since taking over. Sure, he has. But we still want to see them get to the next step, which is the World Series you predict. Sirianni just now won, and Thompson will call the bet and win a championship this year as well. I hope so. I'm all here for it. I am. I did say, you know what? I'll say it one more day today. If I can get to 500 subscribers by the start of tomorrow, Rick, by the time I go live at 8 a.m. tomorrow, if I'm at 500 subscribers. We started at 482 today. We're probably still at 482 right now. 18 more subscribers by 8 a.m. tomorrow. I will not say a single negative thing about the Phillies for the rest of the month of April. I will say nothing but positive things. I'm telling you, 18 subscribers in 23 hours gets a month of positive Phillies talk. Cleveland finally admitted Wilson was a mistake and are going to pay him out and walk away. I love that the owner, Haslam, was willing to admit that mistake. I do. Because very rarely that happens. You'll take that bet, get me 18 subscribers by 8 a.m. tomorrow, and I will only talk the positive for the rest of the month of April. I will guarantee that, okay? I might have to say, oh, that player didn't play a good game or swung at a bad pitch, but I will be the most positive Phillies fan in the world for 1 month if you, in 23 hours, get me to 500 subscribers. NFL is different, where you can get out of big contracts easier as baseball money is fully guaranteed. Yeah, but also the difference in NFL and MLB, Rick, is that in baseball, you can just pay that contract. If you have an owner willing to spend, just give them the money. There's no salary cap. So you can move on to another player as long as you're willing to pay it. In football, you can get out of that big contract, but you have to take a cap hit. We had literally, I forget what it was exactly, the percentage of the cap, but when we got rid of Carson Wentz, it was like 25, 30% of our cap that year in 2021 was paying Carson Wentz to play for the Colts. That should have been a huge effect on the Eagles. It didn't. We still made the playoffs with basically a rookie quarterback. Would we all be here if it wasn't for Chip Kelly being a colossal F-up? Howie came back as the NFL's supervillain. But see, the other thing is, Chip Kelly did do two great things that are still helping this team win right now. He drafted Lane Johnson. Well, he was here when Lane Johnson, he was part of the Lane Johnson development, because I think actually he was drafted right before Chip Kelly. But he brought in Jeff Stoutland that turned Lane Johnson into the great right tackle, that turned Jason Kelsey into a great center. So Chip Kelly did do some good things. He did prioritize athleticism and offensive line. But the Phillies during the regular season are not the problem. It's Red October that is the problem. Exactly. So I have no problem being positive about the Phillies for a month if it meant certain things. Yo, Jimmy Haslam is wild. I can't believe he said that stuff about a player still under contract. Good for him. You know what? That's what I want in an owner. Yo, I'm paying the guy. We made a mistake. Deshaun Watson, the person, is terrible. He's a terrible person. Scumbag. Plain and simple. But I never fault a team for swinging for the fences. They swung for the fences. The problem is it took them till now to admit it was a mistake. They knew it was a mistake last year, 2 years ago. Swinging for the fences should never be held against a team. We're this close. We think we got a chance. Let's go out and trade everything and go get this elite quarterback, or who we think's elite quarterback. Didn't work out. All right, let's move on. Let's admit our mistakes. The honesty and transparency when a team admits their mistakes is great. Then I don't mind them swinging for the fences. It goes back to the Bridges trade that the Knicks made. They spent a lot of money to bring in Mikal Bridges. Spent a lot of draft capital. Will it work out? I don't know. I said it then. I didn't fault the Knicks for making that move because they swung for the fences. We really have to wait until October to see if the Sixers team is worth a damn. I wish they would just blow it up. Well, today will be day 10 when I do the video recording the Sixers, where I call out Josh Harris to fire Daryl Morey. I have zero faith that Daryl Morey would make the right decisions this offseason. Zero. 25% of the cap. I knew it was like 25, 30% was affected. It's crazy. Dodgers are going to break the record for wins in a season. No one is stopping them this year. Sometimes that also happens. Sometimes you just, land a good team in an era where there's just a better team that you have to beat every year. Phillies as currently constructed can contend, but they need alterations. I like that. They need a little head job. You know what I mean? Kelly got a Stoutland and Lane. Exactly. I thought Lane was drafted right before, or Lane was drafted while he was still not making the decisions. But he brought in Stoutland that developed him. He brought in Stoutland, who helped develop Jason Kelce. Don't forget, Jason Kelce wasn't highly talented at first. Remember the the Eagles were a massacre in the playoffs as well the previous 2 seasons. Yeah, it's true. Dodgers lose in first round of the playoffs this year. Bank it. All right. I will take that bet, Rick. Dodgers are the new Braves. I love that that. What's his name? Suspended 80 games for drug use. What's up, chat? Yes, shameless plug. I plugged it yesterday. I will plug it again for you today. Shameless plug. Tonight, 7 p.m. live, right here on the STT Sports Network. Hall of Fame baseball writer Paul Hagen will be joining Chet and Bill 7 p.m. tonight. So, guys, it's another great reason to hit the subscribe button, the like and the subscribe button, because then you'll get to hear the great interview with Paul Hagen tonight at 7 p.m. I mean, nobody can top my visit, but that's just because I'm that awesome. I'm that cool, Chet. I'm a special character. All right. Teams that win most games in regular season win the World Series. There has been that trend lately that the number 1 seed, where we got the 4 number 1 seeds in March Madness, but baseball wild card, that week off does affect teams. I would put a $5 on Dodgers out in the first round. I mean, you get better return on your money. If you want to put a $5, you could go on to Fanatics Sportsbook or DraftKings. You can put a $5 on Daniel Berger to win the Valero Texas Championship. A $5 on Berger, who's 40-1 on Fanatics. Bring you back $200 Duck. That's the kind of info you get on Fairway to Heaven. That's what it is. Fred Friedman has lots of resources to work with, but he might be the best GM president in baseball. He is a resource the Phillies front office is sorely missing. Yeah. You are special. You got to put it in quotes, right? Thanks. When you stick the knife in, then you twist it and pull it up too, right? My mom always told me I was special. Yeah. Was she lying to me all this time? Shameless plug, 2 Birds, 1 Show, my podcast, every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Good, the best. Rick, I expect everybody to follow Rick. 2 Birds, 1 Show. Fantastic work. I wish it was earlier in the night so I could stay awake for it live, because 10 p.m. is normally when I'm in bed. 10:30 lights out normally. So we got to get you to do an earlier show so I could be a part of it. I can't be up that late, or one on the weekends when I can stay up later. I'm an 8-hour sleep kind of guy. I get up at 6:30 every day. So I try to be in bed by 10:30 every day. So, weekends when I don't have to get up till 8 are a little bit different. Put a $5 on Bazoo. Hey, K1, I hope you're having a Bazoo Nuke kind of morning. Morning, Mitchie Poo. How are you? Hope you are well. Hope you are doing good today. Phil, only family can hurt you like that. My family hurts me all the time. That was probably too deep. Remember when the Mariners won like 119 games in regular season way back and lost early like the Phillies? That was the Jay Buhner era of Seattle Mariners baseball, right? I love Jay Buhner. Ugly-ass biker-looking white dude that just hit balls a ton. I remember that era. And yeah, they lost. Jamie Moyer was on that team for the Mariners as well, right? Didn't Jamie Moyer win 20 games for that team? I believe I've got 2 of their stars right there. Accurate. There's some deep. People don't know. I know my baseball. At least I used to. I might not be positive on the Phillies winning the World Series, but I know my baseball. That's one of my jams. People always think that I'm a football guy or a basketball guy first. Golf bike. Baseball's my thing. It is. Preston Manley is very good. I always wanted the Phillies to bring in J.J. Piccolo for selfish reasons. Look, Dave Dombrowski, is there an argument to be made that he's been a disappointment as GM, executive, whatever you want to call him, president, whatever his title really is? Dombrowski's kind of like the Daryl Morey. I don't think he's got the GM title technically. He's got a higher title, but he makes all the decisions. Is there an argument made that Dombrowski's been a disappointment? He's kind of been very similar to Daryl Morey, bringing in a lot of high-priced guys, but not necessarily guys that fit the puzzle. You look at the Eagles and what Howie Roseman does. Howie Roseman goes out and gets the guys, then finds the right puzzle pieces so the Rubik's Cube can be solved. Dombrowski and Morey don't do that. They just throw shit against the wall. You know what we always say about football? You don't win football by spending the most money on the first day of free agency. Those teams don't win the Super Bowl. They just throw a bunch of shit against the wall, see what sticks. It's kind of what Dombrowski and Daryl Morey do. Howie Roseman, he's got a plan. He plots and the puzzle pieces all linked together. It's like a chemistry. You know, this chemical with this element and this element together makes something. Giants and Browns need a quarterback. Who is the team that picks Sanders? I don't know. I think Sanders is going to be a big bust. My question is, where is Aaron Rodgers going to go? And then we go from there. This might be the worst quarterback class in the draft since the E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith year. Say what you want, Will, about Dave Dombrowski, but dude has done a lot of winning in this league. Oh, he has. He absolutely has. Not taking away his winning. But I expected that same championship team here in Philadelphia. And maybe giving out big contracts to as many people as he did backfire. Because you don't just need great hitters. You need a lineup that balances each other out. And hopefully you don't need all guys that strike out and hit home runs. You need some hitters. You need some on-base percentage guys. You need some singles hitters. Of course. Morey is an idiot who brings in names and not actual needs. Just not a puzzle. Does not build a puzzle there. Phil, I'm feeling a Trey Turner home run and the bats come alive for the starter tonight. Versus the starter tonight. 7-2 win. Zach Wheeler's going on the mound for the Phillies. Hold on a second. I had MLB or NBA standings up first. Let me switch to the Phillies game. Let's see who's the starter for the Rockies tonight. Going for the Rockies, Kyle Freeland, lefty. If Trey Turner's back, that means he's theoretically supposed to be in the leadoff spot tonight. Game's at 6:45 at Citizens Bank Park. Is it supposed to rain tonight, or is that tomorrow night that it's supposed to rain? Let me check the forecast for tonight here. It's definitely going to be a cold one at Citizens Bank Park tonight. Yeah, there's no rain today. It's tonight. Going to be cloudy. It's going to be a 48 degrees at first pitch tonight. Kyle Freeland, solid pitcher, the type of lefty pitcher that gives us trouble. We'll see how that goes. If Giants and Browns offer us their first rounds, I'm willing to give up Tanner. Yeah. I don't know why we traded Kenny Pickett and not Tanner McKee. Because you would have to thought that the Browns or the Giants would have given up something for him. Better than what we got for Kenny Pickett. Dombrowski's doing more long-haul stuff, almost like he is envisioning himself here for many more years. He is more efficient when he goes for broke. Yeah. I often have this conversation, Nooms, with my Fairway to Heaven coach, Jason Sullivan, who lives in Detroit, who's a Detroit Tigers fan. And he always brings up when they traded for Miguel Cabrera, Dombrowski doing that, giving away the farm system. And now that's how Dombrowski's made his bones and made his success. Swing for the fences kind of moves. It's just not working here. It just hasn't worked here yet. I think Howie will trade McKee during the draft to a team that then who's you're going to go into the next season with Dorian Thompson, Robinson, or whatever his name is, DTR, as your backup. I don't think. Once we trade a Pickett, McKee is the guy. Yeah, he's not trading McKee now. Not now. But I really thought he would have instead of Kenny Pickett because of the value. You got a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett. Big whoop-de-doo. You could have gotten a 2nd-round pick. An early day 2 pick for Tanner McKee, in my opinion. An early round 2 pick for Tanner McKee. We got a good deal for Pickett and cleared up a decent amount of salary, which we needed to bring in. Absolutely, that's fine. But you're not trading both. It's one or the other. We got rid of Pickett, so McKee's the guy. McKee is the next Tom Brady. That's funnier than you saying the Phillies winning the World Series. It really is. But anyway. So we're at the final 15 minutes of the show today. What have we talked about? We've talked about Nick Sirianni going from 0 to hero. We've talked about the Tush Push. We haven't gotten it. I still got other things from the league meetings. Tomorrow, I guess, We'll get into some Dallas Goedert and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson topics. And a sneaky person that's going to need a pay raise next year that we haven't talked about yet this offseason. And I really got to find time. I don't know if I'm going to have the time today, but I really got to read the language on the expanded replay rules for personal foul calls and stuff, unless someone wants to do the research for me and just comment it tomorrow. But yeah, that's what we've talked about. We've also talked about Val Kilmer and all his great roles on the big screen as he unfortunately passed away last night. Yeah, DTR would be the backup if Jalen gets hurt. They are done. McKee doesn't change that. That's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. If Jalen Hurts was to miss 7-8 games, it don't matter if it's Tanner McKee, DTR, or Will Grier, we would be screwed big time. If Hurts gets injured, McKee will win us another. Stop. I would rather take the Phillies bet to win the World Series than McKee leading us to a Super Bowl. Torpedo bats, pure physics, smart cheat isn't cheating. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? You know what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. I just thought of this. Everybody's using torpedo bats, right? Some with success, some without success. It's early in the torpedo bat era. The Phillies now, we've already got, I wrote it down yesterday, Harper, Bohm, Stott, and Marsh are already all into the torpedo bats, right? The Phillies are going to do what Rick says. The Phillies are going to go on to win the World Series. They're going to have 4 of the top 5 in the MVP voting. They're going to set the record for most runs scored in the season, all because of the torpedo bat. And then next offseason, they're going to try to ban the torpedo bat because the Phillies won a World Series. And that would just go to the Tush Push, where everybody hates Philadelphia's success, and they're going to do everything they can to stop our success. The McKee hype is so weird to me too, Anthony. It really is. It's pathetic. There's still people that think they'd rather have McKee over Jalen Hurts, just so you know. And that's not just made up. That's real. Has the decision-making skills to succeed, especially. How do we know he's got the decision-making skills, Nims? Because he's played in preseason? Because he played in a meaningless Week 18 football game against a bunch of backups with backups? Like, I don't know. I don't think you could say for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that he's got big game decision-making skills. People back in the day said in New England that if Bledsoe gets hurt, they're done. They only had a 6th-round pick that hardly played at Michigan, backing him up. Actually, I thought he started a lot of games at Michigan, but I could be wrong. Tom Brady is a special breed, though, just so you know. McKee did, in fact, put up phenomenal numbers when he played. Again, Week 18 against the Giants, who were playing backups that wouldn't make teams, with our backups. It wasn't like he was playing a meaningful football game. Just so you know. Brady being good is definitely an exception. You are insane if you bank on. Exactly. There's never going to be another Tom Brady. Not a lot of. For some reason, I thought he was a starter at Michigan, but whatever. I don't really follow Michigan football too much. So torpedo bats are so amazing. Increases the bat speed within specs to get a little bit more control. They need to put a small dimple in the end that will allow you to rotate the bat for control. You know what's funny? The torpedo bat is kind of like how golf drivers. Every year there's new technology on drivers in golf. Hit the ball faster, get faster golf club speed or swing speed and stuff like that. Yet they've never really evolved the baseball bat like golf bats have. So I'm shocked it's taken this long for them to come up with a new baseball bat. Some say insane, some say knowledgeable. The distance. So everybody always says, doing the same thing over and over again, that's insanity, right? The distance that's measured between insanity and genius is only measured by success. So there you go. I don't normally push the Phillies narrative this early in the season, but the engineering on these things are so amazing. That's cool. Aren't they? I don't know. I would never personally buy or drive a Tesla. I think they're ugly as bleepity bleep. And I'm also not a realtor. Sorry, Jim. Every realtor I ever see drives a white Tesla. So I'm not a Tesla, so I would never drive. I'm not a realtor, so I would never drive one. But yeah, I just think they're ugly. Funny thing. This is a year or two ago. We were at a party, and we Ubered to the party because we knew we'd be drinking. So we're Ubering home from the party, and it was late at night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was pouring rain, and we were driving on highway. And the Uber driver leaned back and said, "Hey, guys, would you mind if I let the car drive itself?" And I looked right at that Uber driver and instantly went from drunk to sober instantly and said, "No, I did not want to trust the Tesla to drive itself." Yeah, I would never buy a Tesla because Musk is enough. Yeah, well, he might have. Yeah, we might be thinking different things here, but anyway, you get it. As far as bats are concerned, maybe they just got it right the first time. If these bats were such a difference maker, the Yanks would have been bombing on spring. They've been using them for weeks. True. Bledsoe, number 1 overall pick, took his team to a Super Bowl. Brady 6th round. Nobody thought was dead. Oh my God. Oh, do we really have to have this? Are we really making the Nick Sirianni hot seat to Super Bowl champion 0 to hero about Tanner McKee? Seriously? Do we have to make it about Tanner McKee? Come on. I don't want to make it about Tanner McKee. Tesla, the scientist, not the car. Gotcha. I saw Tesla and I just thought about the car instantly. My apologies. It's all good. Anyway, we're coming to the final 5. I'm throwing that bet out there to you, Rick. 500 subscribers by tomorrow morning when I click go live. And I will do nothing but talk positively about the Phillies no matter what happens tonight. Zach Wheeler on the mound. Zach Wheeler was dominant in game 1, the opener. I expect nothing but the same from Zach Wheeler again tonight. He will shut the Rockies hitters down. The question is, can we hit Kevin Freeland? I want to see if really quickly, I don't know if the splits will come up. Game log for this guy. I know we faced Kyle Freeland before. How do I do this here? 2024, Kyle Freeland. We faced Kyle Freeland not at all last year. Did not know that. I thought we faced Kyle Freeland last year. Guess we did not. He did not pitch well, Kyle Freeland, last year. Let's see. I thought he used to be a pretty solid pitcher. Last time we faced him was in 2023, and he shut us out, striking us out 8 times. We had 4 hits against him. It was May of 2014. That was the last time we faced him. Wow, I thought it was a little more recent than that. Visceral talk. Yeah, it's all the outer fringes of the talk here. The thing is that they get substantial more power. You get the tip, and you get fungo bat and mostly fouls. The tech inside the bats provides more data to get better informed. It helps with 100-mile-an-hour on the hands. Interesting. Look, it's all interesting. What is most interesting to me about the bats is the fact that it's taken this long for somebody to devise or design something new. That's all it is with the bats to me. I'll back up Steven Fuentes. Steven Fuentes said 7-2 Phillies win with a Trey Turner home run. I'll agree 7-2 Phillies win, but I will go Alec Bohm with the big 3-run home run to break the game open today. That'll be my prediction. Zach Wheeler will go 6 innings again, strike out 7. There you go. Phillies will get a bunch of runs against their bullpen. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to get runs against bad bullpens because that's what they are, bad bullpens. They're not good bullpens we face. I will not properly judge this team until we start facing some good teams. The Nationals and the Rockies aren't good teams, not even in the least bit. Actually, let me take a look at the Phillies schedule here. When do we actually face? So somebody said we're sweeping the Dodgers. Our next series is at home starting Friday against the Dodgers. That will be an interesting series for sure. We go after the Rockies. We go Dodgers, Braves, then the Cardinals in San Francisco, then Miami, New York. The next 2 series will be how I start to properly judge this team. You know, some engineer got old and wanted to continue hitting dinger in their softball league and said to himself, I need to run some computer miles. I mean, go look at what they do with golf clubs every single year. I mean, literally, golf clubs change every year. They use computers and robots to work on swing speeds and how to, aerodynamically make the club head to get it through the zone quicker. I haven't been judging this team. I formed an opinion. And I said, you got 18 subscribers. You got 22 and a half hours. And I will not say anything bad. 1 month. Well, till the end of the month. Wake me up with the Phillies when they are broken down in September. They've dodged the health bullet way too long. Well, we've already had JT get banged up and miss a game and a half. We've already had Trey Turner miss 2 games so far this year. So, Ranger Suarez is already hurt. So if you look at the stats from last season, we don't really sweep teams. We tend to take the first 2 and the bats go cold. It's a very common thing. It is. It's okay. I'm going to enjoy it. But I'm also allowed to say that the end of the journey won't be good. That's just me. All right, guys, I got to wrap this shebang up. I got a catering order to get into the pizza shop to get me. Didn't have time last night to prep the fruit for the fruit tray today. So I got lots of prep work to do this morning. So everybody have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode. We'll talk Phillies. We'll continue talking Eagles league meetings. We will also talk whatever else happens. But don't miss out tonight. Paul Hagan, Hall of Fame MLB writer, will be live at 7 p.m. right here with the Philly Press Box radio crew. So don't miss that as well. Consistent ways, they haven't dodged the health bug. What am I watching? Phillies season is going to be the Titanic. I don't know it's going to be that bad. That's why you need to increase small ball players. Yep. They've been healthy for every October since 2022. I'm just saying they got 3 injured players right now. Anyway, got to wrap it up. Got to end this shebang right here, guys. Like, share, subscribe if you're watching on replay. Thank you very much. Comment and subscribe, guys. Anyway, we will see you guys tomorrow right here on the STT Sports Network. Go Birds! Bubbles up.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep.